Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa, aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and of course, welcome to another one of my videos in my Support Your Local series. Today I'll chat a bit about a distillery I've actually had the pleasure to visit, and it is Kingsbarns. So this is a distillery located in the Kingdom of Fife. It is a distillery that uses locally grown barley from Fife, and it also has a water source that is drawn from 100 meters below the distillery. We of course had an absolutely wonderful tour when we were there and got to see both their gin distillery and their whiskey distillery. Because of course they have released their first expression of whiskey now, which is the Dram that I'm going to try here. And the first casks were filled in 2015. I'm also going to try their spirit drink, which is like their new make, which is bottled at 63.5% ABV. And the Dram is at 46%, so it's a little bit of a difference there. But Kingsbarns is quite fascinating and it's quite a unique experience. It's basically located in an old farm that's been restored now, of course, to host the distillery. But there's a lovely feature inside the distillery, a really old dewcot. I'll try and put a photo up here, but it's also what's given shape to their bottle. Because if you look a little bit closer, you'll see all these kind of little intricate details on it. And of course, the Dream to Dram, which is one of their first release. Of course, they did an inaugural release, but this is kind of their first flagship expression. It's been matured in first full ex-bourbon casks from Heaven Hill in Kentucky, and also married together with STR casks, so shaved, toasted, and recharred. And of course, their spirit drink, or their new make, is basically something I believe that they bottled before they had whiskey, and I think that's a great idea because it just gives you a little bit of a chance to see what characters you might find in a new make and give a whiskey drinker another kind of layer of experience, because it's seeing where it comes from. I think is super fascinating. Also, cocktails made with new make, really good. So if you like whiskey and you have a fascination for new make, you should try some new make cocktails. I'll try and do some soon as well, because I do have a few different new makes in my house at the moment, so yeah, we'll definitely some of those coming up. We're going to start by having a little look on the new make, and then we'll work our way to the Dream to Dram. Just looks very viscous in the glass, which is quite nice, but let's start by having a nose. This is a nice new make. It's just quite fruity. It's a bit like freshly made banana bread, a little bit of ripe bananas. Definitely has this kind of new make tone to it, which almost reminds me slightly of an unaged rum agricole. It's like a vegetal note, but it's very soft. Like if you gave this to me and I just nosed it, I would never guess that it's 63%. If you nose it too long though, you'll start kind of tugging at on the inside of your nose. It's quite a punchy drink. A really lovely new make, quite fresh and fruity, but still that kind of banana bread note makes it seem a little bit like it's landed a bit more instead of being like quite volatile. But let's have a taste. Slàinte. The alcohol makes it seem so spicy. It does have that vegetal. It does have that vegetal nose. Maybe it's the alcohol that's gone straight to my head, but it does have this vegetal nose that notes that just gives you the experience of new make. I don't know how. If you've tried new make, do you have a flavor that is like consistent throughout all the new makes you've tried? For me, it's this kind of vegetalness to it. But it's quite, like, it's definitely a lovely new make. I could definitely sit and sip it like this, or for example in a cocktail. I think this is lovely. It's still quite tropical, but because it's unaged, it always has this kind of freshness about it. It's hard to explain. It's almost like towards that feeling you get when you've brushed your teeth, without being necessarily minty. It's just that fresh feeling. Interesting. We're going to add a little bit of water, just see what happens. Almost a bit leathery now. Definitely get more of the flavours coming through. It's less spicy. Yeah, definitely reminds me of a rum agricole. It's that kind of earthy vegetal notes to it. Have you tried rum agricole and Unaged? If you have, please let me know what you think. Do you think they're quite similar? Because I tried a rum agricole like a few weeks ago when I reviewed the boutique rums, and this makes me think of that note because it almost makes me think of that super weird Swedish note of mesmar that I got, which is kind of creamed milk cheese spread, which is really weird, and it's sweet. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but let's go move on to our whiskey and have a look on this. This is, the first thing you get is that sweetness, and it's I mean, if the new make had a hint of banana bread, this is banana bread. It's just that kind of banana bread with like an icing sugar on top. So tropical. I know they say that their Dream to Dram is kind of an embodiment of what Lowlands whiskey generally is. And Lowlands whiskey tend to be a bit lighter, sometimes a bit more kind of malty and citrus. But this, I can get the kind of lightness and the sweetness and like that kind of aromas. But it's quite tropical, like that kind of yellow tropical. Let's have a taste. Slàinte mhath. It's sweet and light and easygoing. It does have a maltiness, but more towards the finish of the whiskey. The feeling, the mouth feeling is quite refreshing, and the flavour doesn't grab you initially. It just kind of like a breeze that just kind of comes, or like a wave, just kind of comes in, and then when it goes back, that's when it kind of pulls out more aromas. Yeah, quite a soft experience. So I think someone who's might be new to whiskey would be able to kind of experience both something that has a soft approach but still a lot of flavours. Because I do think it has a good mix of those kind of more approachable flavours that might be that kind of tropical fruitiness and the really light notes, but then it also has a nice oakiness to it on the finish that is something, if you get used to the oakiness, I think you have a big kind of step ticked off in your whiskey journey, because it's something you'll find in a lot of other whiskies. I mean, it's a lovely dram, and I think it's a great example of what a Lowlands whiskey can be. I'm of course so excited to see what Kingsbarns is going to do in the future, and if you like gin, also check out their Darnley's gin. I've had the pleasure of trying it before, and I also reviewed one of the Darnley's gins, so if you're curious about it, check that one out. Also a great gin for whiskey drinkers, if you want a little bit of an influence of peat perhaps in your gin. I would of course love to hear your thoughts on Kingsbarns. If you've tried it, please put it in the comments below. And of course, I would be absolutely thrilled if you consider supporting me by using my affiliate links with Master Malt or the Whiskey Exchange the next time you're shopping with them. All the information is in the description here below, as well as links to my website, my Patreon, my Teespring shop and my Instagram if you're curious about that. As always, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. I'm so happy that you want to follow along in my whiskey journey. I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Slán de bheith, skål.